At any moment of life, did you lose faith?
I had a corporate job that sucked the soul out of me for about 5 years. And I remember different times where I'd be cold calling out my territory. I was wearing a tie, pulling up to places where people thought I was a federal agent. I'd have to be like, no, I'm just Tom from Paychecks trying to sell you payroll. So that experience got me comfortable in those areas. But then there'd be moments where I'm just sitting in a parking lot, just staring at the steering wheel, being like, is this all I'm going to do? Am I just going to be a payroll guy for the rest of my life?
Talk to me about the failure, because people don't understand. It's like a lot of people are scared of trying. The fear is a lot bigger than the stuff they can accomplish. People don't want to start because they're scared of failure. Talk to me about that.
As far as YouTube goes, one thing that really sticks out is I had done these prank videos for 4 years. Over 4 years, I built up 80,000 subscribers, and it just was not working. It wasn't going anywhere, and I was very close to quitting YouTube. And then I wrote a list of ideas, and I literally put it at the top of the list, ideas that could change my life. One of them was jumping out of a plane while eating the world's spiciest chip. One of them was running a marathon without training, and one of them was the Kia Boy documentary. I did those first two, barely anything, no buzz. Did the Kia Boy video, boom. It's very humbling because I spent so much time not succeeding on YouTube that now that when it is happening, I'm very grateful for it. But as far as how I keep myself grounded, I used to do a lot of numericals, like by this date I will have this many subscribers, by this date I will do this. I've completely dropped that because I can't control any of that, but what I can control is a weekly video that's gonna knock your socks off and take you to a place that you may never have seen it into that world before.
Last question, Tommy. One thing people don't know about you.
One thing they don't know about me.
Welcome to Master Your Inner Wealth podcast with your host, Jarek Tadla, where we dive deep into the art of building financial freedom from the inside out. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies, real-life success stories, and expert insights to help you master your inner wealth and create the life you've always wanted. So, let's get started.
Welcome to the Inner Wealth, Jarek Tadla podcast. Today I have a Tommy G. You know, we record one thing and then we become friends, and I want to share your story.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm not going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to talk about the colonoscopy later. Or you want to do the details? We're going to go to the details right now.
I don't want to tell them all the things that the doctor told me is wrong with me, but we can get into that maybe towards the end of the episode.
It's funny. When we record our episode, you make me like so many times uncomfortable. And I'm like, are you fucking with me? Are you? I was like, no, he did not ask the question. So I'm not going to do that. But let's start, Tommy. Tell your story. Like, how did you arrive doing what you're doing and, you know, helping the world and serving people? And
I think where everything started was my parents from an early age installed a love of reading and learning. So going to the library was something that my mom would just drop me off. We'd all get to pick out books. And so I'm curious about an endless amount of subjects. And so when I was growing up in college, I thought, like, you drive down the highway, you look at all these businesses, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to do that job. I wouldn't want to do that job. I wouldn't want to do that job. And you feel a little lost. But then I would see there's this Vice documentary company that made, to me, the best documentaries in that era. And I would see they would hang out. Vice Media, just they were the rawest, boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. Like one day they'd be with the Taliban, the next day they'd be going to seeing underage kids in a mine doing child labor. The next day they'd be watching a drug dealer in Europe. Like, so they just covered the spectrum of life, and to me, I found that fascinating. And I think a defining moment in my life was when I was a sophomore in college. The summer, I went to go live with a tribe in the jungle of Ecuador for a couple of weeks. And so there's a website.
From Ecuador?
Yep.
You know Raul is
yes.
from Ecuador.
So I may have seen his grandpa or something like that in the jungle, but it was an amazing experience. It was just, it was everything I wanted. I got to sleep in a hut on flat wood. I got to eat monkey and rat and all sorts of wild animals. And I've always kind of wanted to experience all these different slices of life. And so I stumbled upon a job where each week I get to go experience someone different. One day I might be, in a house like this in Miami, and the next day I'm talking to a car thief, and I'm equally curious about each of the different people. So, and then from there, it's just been always thinking, what's the next idea that I'm like, I can't wait to get in the room with that guy to talk to him.
Okay, walk us through, like, when you get creative, and what do you do to set yourself and prepare yourself to get creative, or just comes out of it? Like there must be, like, when you go, like, how old are you now, Tommy?
31.
31. So there must be, like, and you've been doing this?
Really, seriously, professionally, 3 years.
3 years. So when you look at back, like, when was the kind of like a breakthrough, like, hey, I'm the brightest at this moment, I'm the brightest at this moment, I'm the more creative? Like, when does it happen? Do you ever think of that?
I've always been an idea guy, and I've always gotten my ideas. I find it like in light movement. So whether I used to do lawn mowing for a business. When you're doing that kind of just the monotonous or slow jogging or things like that, ideas are always flowing into my head. And plus, because I love what I do, I'm passionate. Like I'm always just I'm receptive to what's going on. But I would say I'm most creative like after a jujitsu practice at driving home in the car. I'm calm, I'm stress free, I feel good, I feel in touch with the world, I feel receptive to what's out there. And I'm always just the other thing is through my contacts. Like I might know a car thief who knows people that rob trains, who knows people that sell cars to the cartel, who knows people that do, and you just then you just start opening up little doors. And my big thing is knocking on doors. There's the famous Bible verse: asking you shall receive, seeking you shall find, knocking doors shall be opened. And I believe that with all my heart. There might be a lot of doors you walk up to that say no, but I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm gonna go up there and at least say, hello, can I get in here?
At any moment of life, did you lose faith, or you always have faith?
Yeah, I had a corporate job that sucked the soul out of me for about 5 years, and I remember different times where I'd be cold calling out my territory, and I had the hoodiest of the hood in Milwaukee, and that's actually what got me acclimated to being in those wild environments. Is I was wearing a tie, pulling up to places where people thought I was a federal agent. I'd have to be like, no, I'm just Tom from Paychecks trying to sell you payroll, and so that experience got me comfortable in those areas. But then there'd be moments where I'm just sitting in a parking lot, just staring at the steering wheel, being like, is this all I'm going to do? Like, am I just going to be a payroll guy for the rest of my life? And I always had a lot of irons in the fire. So while I was doing sales, I also was doing a prank YouTube channel. I was also starting in real estate, and I also was coaching wrestling for kids. And any one of those that would have taken off, I would have jumped in full steam. But nothing was really going off quick. So I stayed the course. And then as soon as the Kia Boy documentary came out that really changed my life, that was when I was like, okay, I'm all in on this bucket. I'm still going to do the other buckets, but this is where I'm really going to be investing my time and chasing.
So, like, I have a lot of younger, audience, and also older, younger audience. But, we never know, like, when we're ready. And how did you know, like, you are ready, or you were, like, I always tell people, we're never ready to freaking go to the first steps. Like you said, you could do any of those, but this was the one thing that you always wanted. Like, what was the moment? Like, describe the moments, like, fuck it, that's what I'm doing, and I'm not doing anything else.
I would say freshly after the Kia Boy video came out, and I had news outlets hitting me up, I had people all around, hey, come to my neighborhood next, do this. I just saw the momentum there. But also, I think if there's one thing I have in my skill set, it's that I have a very high risk tolerance. I've always been the guy that is down to try it, and I'm not afraid to look stupid. I'm not afraid to lose. Like my first real estate deal, I didn't know how to walk a property. I didn't know how much it cost to refloor a bathroom, paint it, put a new sink in. I just went for it, and there was painful lessons early on because I'm like, damn, I didn't budget for this extra
it's
$9,000.
How we know those shit, right? And
yes.
we just, we just pretend that we know, and it's like, not hurt. But truly, like, the whole world thinks like, hey, I know what I'm doing, right? And then you actually don't know. Even today, before we sit down, it's like, I just wonder how that conversation is gonna go. What are we gonna talk about it? And then you guys gonna watch it like, oh yeah, they know the shit. We still don't know. The only thing we're here to help others, spread the message, and I mean, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think being able to freestyle through life is a good thing. Being able to improvise, being able to pivot, because nothing ever goes how you picture it. But you have to be ready. When that door does open, like I waited 5.5 years for that door to open. But when it did open, it was such an easy decision to run through it. Because to me, I think, a lot of people might look at my lifestyle, like how I invest real estate. I went to the craziest places in Milwaukee and would buy those houses. What I do for videos, I go to some of the craziest places in the country and interview these people. And some people...
I'm not crazy. I'm normal.
I'm
crazy.
I'm really... You're good crazy. And I think you need to be a little crazy. I think the highest risk you have in this life is to live through it and not be... to wish you did all the stuff that you wanted to do. I'm in the field right now doing all the things that I'm excited about. And so I would rather buy a property and fail on it and at least learn from it, or try a video out and it's risky or it's dangerous, than never get out and try and do it. I want to be, when I'm an old man on the hospital gurney and hopefully I have family gathered around and I get to tell them a lot of stories. Like, I want to feel like I left everything out there. And in the wrestling community, which is a big influence in my life, I wrestled since I was 10 years old, wrestled through college, and now coach wrestling. Like, one of the sayings is just leave it all out on the mat. I don't, like, what I tell my kids is, I don't care if you win, you lose. If you tried as hard as you could out on that mat, I'm never going to be upset with you when you come off. And that's how I want to, in the wrestling world, when you retire, you leave your shoes in the middle of the mat. If you're really good, I was never like Olympic level where I leave the shoes.
Talk to me about the failure, because that's what I want to say, because people don't understand. It's like, what are you talking, like fail? That's,
okay, it's just
this is like a lot deeper, because that's what it's like a lot of people are scared of trying. The fear is a lot bigger than than the stuff they can accomplish. And how do you go through like how you deal with it? How do you because it's like people are like, I don't want to, like, people don't want to start because they're scared of failure. And failure, like you just saying, it's the best of the, like, for me, like, failures is the best lessons.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's funny, like, I don't learn anything from any successes, zero. From the failures, and even, like, I can talk to you about my failures, we can talk hours. About successes, this, and the last minute. And in the failure, we live, and that's where we get the best lessons. Talk to me about that.
So I've had a lot of failures, but I would say, as far as YouTube goes, one thing that really sticks out is I had done these prank videos for 4 years, and over 4 years I built up 80,000 subscribers, and it just was not working. It wasn't going anywhere, and I thought, man, I was doing I have all these original ideas. I'm doing things that are ballsy. I'm doing things that are funny, and it just wasn't taking off. And I was very close to quitting YouTube. And then I wrote a list of ideas, and I literally put at the top of the list, ideas that could change my life. And they were various. One of them was jumping out of a plane while eating the world's spiciest chip. One of them was running a marathon without training. And one of them was the Kia Boy documentary. I did those first two, barely anything, no buzz. Did the Kia Boy video, boom. And so I was very close to folding my cards. I remember talking to one of my YouTube friends, Brandon Buckingham, because he was in the same boat where there's like, I don't know if this is for us. Like, for whatever reason, like, we see all these other guys breaking through, having massive success. Are the YouTube algorithm gods not going to smile on me? Do I not have the right temperament or personality? Like, what? I don't know what exactly it was, but something felt off. But then when that door opened, like, I think it was good too. It's very humbling because I spent so much time not succeeding on YouTube that now that when it is happening, I'm very grateful for it. I think younger guys that make it quickly, they kind of have an arrogance about them or an entitlement where, like, their shit don't stink and that, they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
It's not only young guys. In business, same thing.
Yeah.
I always tell, like, the guys that from 1 to 10 million, they're the more cocky son of a bitches. They're not humble. They horrible human beings. Then from 10 to 20, they kind of like, yeah. And guys over 100 million, suddenly like, shit, the money doesn't, it's like, if you a horrible human being, you're going to be even more. It's like an amplifier, but I think it's going through the stages. So that's what it is. And when we get lucky, a lot of guys that get lucky so quickly then fail because they don't, they don't get the gratitude that, they got lucky. They think it's them. And like you said, the shit don't stink. And it does. You know what I mean?
I approach my channel as if it could end in a week or that. Like, I don't take it for granted.
You said this like 3-4 times. You don't think that's manifesting?
No, I mean, well, action is really what manifesting. Like, people can get all woo woo and like hippy dippy spiritual about manifesting. I think the mental game is really important, but action is the ink that writes the story of your life. So to me, like, I'm still gonna put out the best possible piece I can every week. But the reason I say that is, like, I don't ever want to get lazy on my ideas. I don't ever want to get lazy on I want every piece to be good because I accept the fact that there might be a day one day when people don't want to tune into me. So I don't take it for granted. Like, right now, I'm getting more views than I ever thought I would get in my entire life, and I'm grateful for it. I'm happy for it. But I don't expect, if I do a crappy job next week, I don't expect it to keep going. So I guess I have a mentality where I feel like I have the best job in the entire world, but I know that I have to keep pushing the rock up the hill to keep it. It's not just going to stay.
How do you gonna build your hunger and just so you sustain the same drive and the same thing? Like, I think like when I met you, freaking humble as fuck, and that's why we connected immediately. I don't connect as much as people like like we did. So, like, when does this come from? Like, this is from the way the parents raise you, or just the life experience that you got screwed so many times?
Yeah, I think part of it's from my household. I grew up, so I'm a triplet, and I'm the youngest and the dumbest of the three kids. So when we bring home report cards,
The
my
youngest
brother
and
and
the
sister, they'd have AP, honors, 4.0s, 4.2s. I had like 3.4. So I was always getting outdone in the classroom. But wrestling is really what made me resilient. Wrestling is, to me, the greatest sport on earth because of the toughness it teaches people. Like when I was a junior in college, I was wrestling 157. Every single week, I would yo-yo up to about 170, 171, and I have to lose 13 or 14 pounds to get back by Friday, Saturday when I would compete again. And so, and also with an individual sport like that, you go out on the mat, you compete. If your hand doesn't get raised, if you don't win, it's always on you. There's not like in a team sport, you always, oh, I can blame the quarterback, I can blame the receiver. In wrestling, it's because that guy outworked me. Whatever it was something about me that wasn't successful enough. So I think losing over and over in a one-on-one
Please
sport,
say that again.
Losing over and over.
and over.
yeah. So, but that also taught me how to compete and how to be kind of a dog. Like when it's me versus you, like it's always, well, it's not gonna be me. Like I'm gonna do everything I can to get my hand raised at the end of that. And there was like, I remember being in the wrestling room, there's a little door I could kind of like, it was locked. I'd kind of like break in there, and then the lights would be off, and I'd just turn on the music and just be either jump roping, and there'd be a wall of national champions that had their portrait, and I'm like, I'm gonna be on that wall one day, and I'd go on the Stairmaster, crank it up to the highest amount, put my hoodie on, and just go. And so, I think always having those high expectations. And again, as far as I got with wrestling, I was a national qualifier twice, and there's people that, like, I beat the national champ twice. I beat the 5th and 6th place guy. But in the national tournament, I didn't wrestle how I should have. I lost, but I didn't have any regret about it because I left it all out there. I trained year round. I was doing crazy stuff. I was doing car pushes, sprints up hills, like everything I could possibly do, I did. And so while I didn't get the result I want and I thought I could have gotten, I didn't feel bad about it because I know how hard I worked in that room. So I had peace when my career ended. I had peace with, okay, I can move on and do the next thing.
Okay. Do you know, like, like when we did my documentary, you told me a sentence that I was like, holy shit, I'm 52 years old. And like I heard it so many times and I was like, say this again. Remember in the gym?
Listen to yourself, or speak to yourself, don't listen to yourself.
Yes. And it's funny. It's like, when I have those really bad voices, then I kind of like listen and I become those voices and I just, it's just like it's a rabbit hole. And the second and I heard this, like, everybody told me that, like, and I was like, what the hell? And then you said it in such a simple way that now I just like speak to myself. Talk how your coach took you out of it. It's like, when you went to the fights, because that story is amazing.
Well, I think, a big thing is in any game, whether it's real estate or wrestling or YouTube, the big thing is what happens between your ears, the mental game that's happening. Because especially in wrestling, like one that I battled with is I would get so nervous. It was ridiculous. Like I'd make like 20 stops to the bathroom because I'd have to piss. Or I'd want to feel like I was going to throw up. And I didn't really conquer that until college. So I competed for 10 plus years where the entire time was miserable. I loved practice, but I hated competing. And then I heard that advice where, listen to yourself, or no, speak to yourself, don't listen to yourself. But so when I'd be warming up, I'd be pacing. Like I was a guy that I wanted to convey what was going to happen before the match to my opponent. So like I'd be trying to like kind of dog him. I'd try and be like, but in my head, when I'm pacing back and forth, getting ready, it's like, he doesn't train as hard as me. I have the best cardio. There's no way. It's the deeper in the match it goes, I'm going to drown him. Like I just had like all these positive messages in my head that by the time I stepped on the mat, it was like, I just know that I just got to let time take its toll on this guy, and I'm going to get my hand raised regardless. And before that, the voice that would be in your head is like, my legs feel weak. I cut too much weight. My legs feel really weak. Or, I ate too close before this match. My stomach feels off. Or, damn, this guy looks really strong, and I don't know if I can beat him. When I started speaking to myself, it's basically just writing your own code or software. Like you have to be that guy. And I think there's a difference. Like when you're arrogant, you tell everyone that. But when it's just in your head, I feel like a pretty good thing to do to coach yourself in the position to win.
Okay. So how do you use the voices? Like, how do you talk, let's say, about the videos and everything you do right now? Because it's like we train and then we become masters in this, like in this training the voices, and then we just take it to every other aspect we do. As a father, now you're a brand new father. How does this serve you? Because this is mental game. This is not a
Yeah.
joke. The inner voice, the self-talk is the most important thing. Because that's what even I'm 52 years old and I still struggle. Even the reason like I'm doing this right now because I lost I lost the battle to the voice. You know what I mean? My voice become my identity. That's why I'm sharing the message. And I'm talking about the mental health because I almost commit suicide because I believe in the voice. Instead of me talking to the voice and just guide it, I become the victim. Walk me through how does.
I used to do a lot more of it, but now that my life is kind of turned into the place where I want it to be, now what I've kind of moved into is just a place of like being constantly reminding myself to be happy and grateful. Like just walking through I have a yard that backs up to a nature preserve, and when I'm walking through there with my baby, my dog, my wife, just reminding myself how like this is everything I ever dreamed of was, hey, I want my house to back up to a nature preserve. I want to be doing this job. I want to be able to have financial freedom and do the job I love to do, and I have that right now. So I guess where I am right now, I would say two things that are like the big part of my mental game. One is just constantly reminding myself how cool of a job it is, how great of a family I have, and just embracing it and knowing that these moments won't last forever. Like when I'm at swim lessons with my baby boy and he's smiling and he's kind of gliding through the water, like just treasuring that because I'm going to blink and he's going to be grown up like your son, Patrick. And I'm going to miss all those little moments where he's that squishy little fat face baby. The other thing is operating in a truthful manner. I think the thing that has made my channel extremely strong is trust is the biggest currency I have. In the mainstream media and across other YouTube journalists I see, there's kind of a mentality of I'm going to kind of use someone up, or I'm going to burn them, or I'm going to do a hit piece on them, or I'm going to extract as much as I can and try and position it for my own good and then move on. I'm the opposite where everything is a relationship where, because I don't know who you know, but if you have a great experience with me, chances are you'll refer me to speak to them. Same thing with the car thief or
Brother,
the gangsters, you know?
I'm huge about it. And it's funny, I went through life alone. You know what I mean? Then I have Raul to open me up. You know, like he took the bricks out. And I can't believe it. Like yesterday we were at the party. You see, like
Great party.
everybody was leaving. It's like this connection, this energy is enormous. Like I don't go to parties like this. Like 250 people connected, not transactionally, but like through the faith, through the good spirit, and there was like a love in this whole house. You know what I mean? I get it. Like there's not, because you touch something good. Like none of the moments last forever. Because like people want to be happy, and you cannot be happy all the fucking time. It doesn't exist. You gotta have a drops, and you gotta do the work, and then the happiness. How do you capture those moments? How do you anchor those moments? Those moments of the gratitude, the moments like, what the fuck, how, like this is like, like the way you're holding your son, and it's like, how do you anchor those moments? Like,
Between my family and between the guys on my team, we do a lot of reflecting. Like we'll be, I'll hit, after ending a call where a guy says he can show us, how hippos are smuggled or giraffes are smuggled, and we're going to go meet up with him in Florida, see that side of, like, I'll get off the phone and be like, did we just talk to a guy that does just appreciating and enjoying the journey of like all the different types of people we get to talk to, being very aware of like, okay, that was a really cool experience. I would also say just like especially when I'm with my family, just like finding myself smiling and just looking at my wife or looking at my boy or looking at my dog and just being like how much better can it get? And
it's funny.
And being grounded in the simple things. I think a lot of people, they look
Damn.
at social media and they think that
Damn, right there.
happiness comes from either acquiring riches or being wealthy has financial freedom, which I definitely advocate. People should seek that, but no car, no house, nothing will ever make you happy permanently. It's my mentality for dating was if I can be with a woman that is happy eating beans and rice, she's definitely gonna be happy when the steak and the lava cake is out on the table. And so I think just embracing the simplest of things and knowing that's what most of life is the simple little moments. In your kitchen when we're talking with your family,
Dude,
drinking
you're not
coffee.
31, man.
That's the
Jesus
simple
Christ.
things.
Like,
But if you're only happy, once a year I get to go to this penthouse and spend a week there, like it's, what do they call it? I think they call it gold medal depression. An Olympian, they're chasing this thing. It's this big worthy pursuit. I mean, an Olympic gold medal is as good as you get, but then they hit that and it's like, now what?
I tell guys like,
And you've kind of hit that, right?
Oh yeah, I hit like many
Yeah.
times because I always look for the happiness from the outside sources, the validation from the outside sources. I forget about myself, because I was looking for like if I get there, I get there, and there's always more, and that doesn't bring you happiness if you leave yourself. Like everybody, like I do Ironmans, and everybody like I train or I help to do Ironmans. Like, dude, you're gonna hit depression after finishing Ironman. What are you talking
It's
about?
kind of funny to
This
think,
is-
though,
This
isn't
is
it?
like it's gonna take me 2 years of training. This is gonna be the best moment of your life, and then you're gonna drop. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just telling you it happened to me because something that was completely unachievable. When you get there, what is next? You know what I mean? We do concentrate. A lot of people that become miserable and then end up in the coaching and therapy and all this stuff is because we concentrate on the destination. And you 31 years old, you already understand that. We do not concentrate on the journey. The journey and the little steps, it's like, hey, you know what I mean? Like I took my kids to the hill in Italy, and they're like, when we're gonna get there, when we're gonna get there. And I'm like, look at this store, look at this view, look at the journey is not to get there. The journey is to like going and looking at, you know what I mean? But it took me years to appreciate those little things because I want to get there. And then what happened is a lot of guys and a lot of men are looking for shortcuts and they don't understand they're playing themselves because they get there and then what next? What next? What next? So what next for you?
I am well aware, like there's going to be a time in my life, maybe it's, I don't know if this documentary run is going to be 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, but I know there's going to be a time where I'm reminiscing and I'm like, man, the time it was me and the boys in the car going to do this, going to do that. Like I already can feel the nostalgia about that. And same thing with my family. Like I can already feel the nostalgia, like listening to my baby boy's like hands like plopping on the floor as he's crawling, like just, there's going to be a time I'm like, oh, remember when Benny used to crawl on the floor and it was just so cute and innocent. And so I guess I continually remind myself that this moment is is a gift and to be happy about it. But as far as how I keep myself grounded, I used to do a lot of numericals. Like by this date, I will have this many subscribers. By this date, I will do this. I've completely dropped that. I've dropped that for a while because I've found I can't control any of that. But what I can control is is the output or the activity. A weekly video that's going to knock your socks off and take you to a place that you may never have seen it into that world before. That's my metric. Going to every single swim lesson with my son on Tuesday nights, teaching at Takedown Tuesdays at the jiu-jitsu gym. Like if I can hit those little things, or okay, me and my wife, hey, we need to probably do a couple of retreats a year, 2-3 small retreats a year to just be able to experience each other and grow with each other. Those are the little things that the metrics that I try and keep to be happy. But I'm curious with you, because a lot of people would look at you and you say, like, by all metrics, you're the top of the mountain. How do you figure out what's next?
I didn't. I'm still in the journey. I'm still in the journey. That's what I'm talking to guys. I'm talking to you. I'm talking. It's funny. I just realized there's never top. It's like we created and because like on every top of the mountain there's a drop, and I don't want to experience the drop. And the reason like what I'm searching for right now, I understand there's infinite game. Because every time I give myself a goal, I give a goal that I can't achieve it. The goals that I have right now, certainly, 8 billion people, I can't achieve the goal. It's unachievable. It's an infinite game. And the infinite game is also I'm working on ourselves, the inner world. That's what my podcast is. I'm talking to people like that. So it never stops and it never ends. But, the second it ends, I always tell people, whenever you feel you got it, you screwed. It's over. Like you gonna, fail. And that's why it's like feeding the soul and working on yourself and helping others, it helps you. And there's no finish line. There's no finish line what we do. You know what I mean? Like the helping people. And now we have the access to the internet, YouTube, all the social media. You just can help enormously amount of people. I want everybody to be financially free, financially healthy, emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy, have like amazing connection with God, with family, with kids, and because I lost a lot of stuff with my kids, You know, I was the stereotype father. You
Working
know,
too much.
You know what I mean? Working too much. That's why I have two young, you know, Lily and Patrick. That's why I have two younger kids, because I don't remember my two oldest daughter to doing any of it. I'm working. Shut the fuck up. I'm working. Like, I'm busy. You know what I mean?
And it's easy to tell yourself, like, or rationalize, well, I'm doing it for them.
No,
But
you're
in
not.
reality, they don't care about.
Yes, I'm getting goosebumps when you're saying that, because it truly they like, and it's funny. It's not only the kids that always like kids like dad. I don't care about this stuff because you have all this stuff. Then I was married once. You know, my first wife's like, Yarek, I don't give a fuck about the money. I'm like, yes, you do because you have it. Then my second wife, same thing. Like, I don't care. And then my current one, Jessica, it's like she was humble like hell. And this is like, Yarek, I don't want this. I want you. I want your time. I'm like, fuck. I call up my Raul and it's like, what the fuck, Raul? What the fuck? Why? What? It's like, this is that simple. It's that simple. People want us, and people want, you know, like us to find ourselves. You know what I mean? And just that's what I'm, you know, surrounding myself with better and better people, and I'm asking better and better questions. And people let me find to search myself. And I know for me now, Tommy, this game, it's infinite game. Like, this will never ever stop. You know what I mean?
One thing I think is really cool that you guys are doing is the Brotherhood, because I think a lot of people are missing that, especially once you get out of
We're
college.
gonna talk about it. We're gonna invite Raul in the next
Yes.
few minutes. We're gonna finish this, but
But you were
really
asking me,
wanted
you were
to-
asking me metrics or things that
Yes.
I do to make sure that I stay happy. One of them is, and we fell off a little bit with when Ben was younger, but now we're starting back to this, is hosting a gathering once a month. So I'll have a boys' night once a month, and then also, like, maybe we have, like, we're having a Christmas party next week, and making our house be a magnet for gathering. Because I don't know what it is about people, but it feels like, I don't know if you guys notice this, but if you don't hit them up, some people, like, even though you love them, even though they're really, really good friends, if I'm not the one to make the call, sometimes I just won't hear from that person unless I initiate and invite them and make it happen.
But I need you to know something about it. And then I learned this. Also, what is good about the tribe, because, and I'm big about it, like about the tribe and the brotherhood. Like, I'm huge, you know. It's sometimes people really that, like, you know, like even like right now, like, you know, the more successful you get, it's people do not call me. And you know how painful it is? Like, you know, I have a jet, I have a boat, I can go on this Sunday night, and I just want to, you know, I just want to go grilling with Reinaldo, you know, with the Brazilians, and just do nothing on Sunday. But
They won't call you because
but they won't call me because
Why do you
like,
think that is?
Because it's like, well, he won't come here. It's like, but I want the connection. I want the, like, you know, and then I see them how huge, how deep they connected, you know, through being at the grill at the beach. And like, that's what I want.
So
you know, I
success can be
created-
isolating.
Yes. So what happened is then it's also on us. And then when those people, because remember, we bring a lot of people that is like, oh, now he's better. Like, you know, we're still the same human beings. You know what I mean? That's why we have to stay humble, and we have to remind them, and we have to invite them. You know, it's like, well, I would invite you, but then, we're just gonna do grilling on the beach. Fuck, I want this shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, no, you're too big for. What do you mean I'm too big for this? You know, the same thing with you. Oh, no, you're the celebrity. You know, this is, and people are scared to call you, and this is like, so that's why it's our job as a leader to never stop. And, you know, just to make sure those people feel comfortable. Because a lot of guys tells me, it's like, Yarek, I thought you're not going to do this shit. Like, you know what I mean? And then I disconnected from people. So that's why we have to pour our heart and just be, you know, everybody, you know, it's like when I was selling real estate, you need clients? Like, you busy. Like, you the number one real estate agent in the country. What are you talking about? I need clients. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? People don't think that, you know, when you start reaching certain level, they think that you don't have time, or, you know, you don't. Or I hate this. Like, oh yeah, you don't want to hang with us, the losers, or the. Do not say those words. Like, you know what I mean? But they really think that, you know, they are not worthy, and we bring them insecurities in them. So it's on leaders to bring that we equal, because it doesn't matter what we have. We all born with fucking nothing, and we're gonna leave with nothing.
What I hunger for, the more I get older, what I hunger for is at least 1 week a year where I call up some boys. We go to a cabin in the middle of the woods, and we live a little ruggedly. And we're playing sports. We're cooking together. There's maybe a hot tub. We're telling stories late into the night. That to me, like my bachelor party a few years ago was one of the most fun weekends of my life. Like 10 people I very much love came and gathered, and there was nothing fancy. We didn't do anything that cool on paper, but just connecting with each other, loving each other. That to me was it's just a special week that I want to get more of that happening again. But it feels like people only everyone is so busy right now. So unless it's like a wedding, a funeral.
Bullshit. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
There has to be like
Go
some
ahead.
event for people to come.
Exactly.
It can't just be.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't
Why
know.
something tragic has to happen for us to connect?
Maybe I'll fake my own death so we'll have a little gathering, you know?
Well, there is some older people that do that. You know that, right?
They
I'm
fake their
dying
death.
out of cancer. They fake the shit, and then suddenly all the siblings, all this is like coming, and the children like, what the hell? Why we have to do that? You know what I mean? But so that's why that's very hard. And it's funny, like in the Brotherhood, like, you know, I have guys that I know for 40, 50 years, but with my new brothers, I have like, you know, I know them for 5 years, 6 years, 4 years, 3 years. I have a better connection than guys that I know for, you know, 50 years because we never have those deep conversations. We never have. So it's like very important who you surround yourself with and just build the tribe. But the problem is you cannot build a tribe to receive something for the tribe. You got to keep giving, you know, that's how it's the receiving, you know. I think the happiness is the more you give, the more you receive. But I was never open to receiving that, you know, the same thing with love. So one thing you want to do, you haven't done.
I want to take my wife to either Italy or Greece. I don't know how, baby free maybe, or maybe we have a babysitter with us, but I just want to eat some fresh olive oil, fresh pasta. I want to have a view. I want to sit in the sun. I want to read a couple books and just enjoy life. That would be, because part of the treadmill of putting out a 30-minute documentary every single week, my team are animals. Like the pace that we keep to do that is a lot. And we haven't really had a moment to just take our foot off the gas. So when the time is right to just have a view, have peace, dip some bread in some olive oil, and read a book. Maybe at the Airbnb they have a little record player. We put on some, you know, jazz or something. Just let the night take us away. That to me sounds nice.
Last question, Tommy. One thing people don't know about you.
One thing they don't know about me. On camera, it looks like I have a very crazy life. Like I'm interviewing the wildest of the wild. I kind of live like a grandpa though. Like I wake up, I feed my baby a bottle, we go for a nature walk, I do my thing throughout the day, I work out, and by the time night comes, I'm in bed with a book at 9:30, 10 o'clock. I don't party. I'm not doing, you know, lines of cocaine off of, you know, strippers at a club. I've only been to one strip club in my life, and it was sanctioned by my wife. I did a video, first time visiting a strip club, and she let me document the experience. Like I'm not a wild man in that way, but I guess I think by having that peaceful life, it allows me to go like just full into these experiences of like a couple of weeks ago, we landed in Bakersfield, California, meet at midnight with these guys. And this car thief takes me into like the desert area, mountains where he has ditched cars. Like, yep, I took this SUV, I stripped all the wheels, I cut it down. Like I'm just walking through the desert or this mountain area with him. And I'm just like, yeah, it's so like the dynamic is so interesting to me. Like 2 days ago, I was just peacefully chilling, reading a book, and now here I am with a car thief. So I think having that yin and yang is important.
But you also like very fortunate because you live many people's lives by doing the documentary. Like you know, even like you know when we did ours, like you know you step into my life and then you go to you know, and then literally next day you did another day. Like it went from one, and I'm like, dude, like from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
So it's like you know experiencing and sharing this. This is like enormous. I promise. Last question.
Yeah.
My son is 13. He just turned 14. Your son is 1, turning 1 in January. What would you tell my son or your son? What would you tell him? In few sentences, like, hey, when you reach 13, 14, what advice would you give to little Tommy? Like you, little Tommy, like you 31 right now. What advice would you give it?
I would tell them to be very experimental. dip your hands in a lot of things. You want to try speaking French, you want to try coding, you want to go out for this sport, that sport. Try a lot of things, find what you love, and also know that time is on your side. So I think they have to fight an enormous addiction of, like, a lot of their friends are probably, Snapchatting right now on an iPad. Like, there is this wonderful outside world. So, like, get dirty, try catching frogs, speak another language, do difficult sports, probably learn how to fight, and like your self-confidence will really go up if you can walk into a room and know, like, okay, I'm not going to get kidnapped here. Like, I'm at least going to be able to fight my way out of this situation. So do tough things and be very experimental and read books. I think anyone that you can give a lifelong love of reading to, they're going to be pretty set.
Good. Thank you, brother.
Than you, brother.
Thank you for being the podcast.
Yes.
Awesome.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję. That's a Polish. Dziękuję bardzo. Tommy G, follow. You guys know where to find him. You know where to find me. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Tommy.
Peace.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights and master your inner wealth.